I'm your host Diana, aka Chuchona, and how are you? How you doing? How you not doing? I'm here today with a movie review. I know that I promised more TV show review, but I was a little bit busy and lately, so I watch more movies rather than TV shows. But I'm watching right now Three Body Problem and The Fallout. Even if I don't dedicate it a full episode uh, to some entertainment products, I write a little reviews on my Instagram. So if you want to check it out or you're a little bit curious, so you could go to my Instagram page that is podcast Chichona underscore and read some reviews that I do. Anyhow, let's start with today's review that is about The Peasant, a movie, an animation movie from Poland, Serbia, and Lithuania, released in 2023. And finally, I was able to watch it. Finally, I was able to watch it, and it is simply a work of art for me. Since the first frame, I was in awe by the drawings and the paintings, the animation, and then also by the music that is somewhat traditional. The plot of this movie is divided into four chapters that follows the season. We start with autumn, then winter, spring, and summer. So the story has a time frame of an year, and it is interesting to see how much can happen in just 12 months. Because sometimes a year seems not much time, but actually it is, under certain aspect, of course. And in this movie, we see our main character Yagna having a completely different life after a year. Even if we follow Yagna throughout the movie, another main character are the peasant of the small village of Lips. Because yes, we have a growth in Yagna, but also the peasants have an evolution, and in my opinion, is more explosive than Yagna. Yagna is the heroine of the story, and the peasants are the antagonists. But if you take the part of the peasants, they are the the good ones, and Yagna is the evil one. You might think, well, this is how a story works. You have a protagonist and an antagonist. So Yagna is the protagonist, and the peasants are the antagonists. Yes, completely right. But in my interpretation of the story, after after that I watched the movie, is that here we have we don't here we don't really have an antagonist. We have more two main characters. They're, they, they don't sympathize with each other. Let's say that. And now I try to explain it better. Yagna is simply living her life. She has a love interest that is not, let's say, right, because the man is already married, but she doesn't harm anyone. She wants to be herself and living her life. She doesn't have any interest to have a big amount of terrain or to be someone important in the village. So she is happy where she is. Her object of desire is to be free, free from all the judgments against her. She hates being judged, um, mostly because that mostly because the things the people say about her are not always true. The peasants, on the other hand, consider Yagna the reason why the village is in danger, the reason why the village is suffering. They simply want to live in peace without worrying if there will be enough harvest for everyone. We can see that there is an antagonist from them too, that is the landowners. They want to cut down the forest that is owned by the peasants, and also we can consider antagonists the weather and the environment. So if usually we have a story in which the evil one wants something that the hero has, and then he doesn't achieve that or take that, or or he is defeated. Here both characters, so both Yagna and the peasants, want the same thing, and they achieve that. They at the end they are in peace. What they want is to be left in peace, and they both obtain that at the end. The only character that doesn't obtain what they want are the land owners. So for this reason, I think that we have two main characters, but it's true that the main actress is Yagna. We follow more Yagna than the peasants, but the presence of the peasants is really, really strong. Like we feel the peasants. We feel the peasants, even if they are not in the scenes. In the scene, they are always there. We see this big presence of them. I really like the plot of this movie because there is so much going on, not only in the story in general, but in each characters. From the first scenes, we already understand the relationship between the characters. We see Yakna, she is looking a man, Antek, her love interest, and from this we can clearly understand that something is going on between them. And then we see some women talking about Yakna, how she is dressed and how she's behaved. The women of the village are jealous of Yagna because she is different. She is more naive, sensitive. She has no interest to be someone to establish her name in the village. She is also beautiful and really talented with kautas. The women consider her frivolous because she hasn't the same worries that a peasant has. Antek, the love interest of Yagna, is the son of Masik Borina, the richest man, the richest peasant in the village. As he said, as I said before, Antek has a wife, but he is cheating on her with Yagana. Mansig is a widower, and he followed the suggestion of the villagers to get married again. But this time with a young lady. And guess who is this young lady? Well, of course, it's Yagna. So Yagna, even if she doesn't want to get married, she follows the will of her mom and she marries Masig. We have this beautiful scene of the wedding in which we see how afraid Yagna is, and she became the wife of the richest peasant, and she received 6 acres of land as a dowry. Antek and his wife Hanka don't approve of this, and there is a fight in the family, and Mansek ordered to his own son to leave the farm and never come back. But the affair between Antek and Yakana continues, even if he is exiled and even if she is married to his father. And the scary part of all this is that Mansek always, each time they have sex, each time he catches them. And once he even put on fire the pile of hay in which Yagna and Antek were making love. So the relationship of Yagna and Antek is a bit complicated because you understand that Yagna is in love with Antek, but you can't say the same about Antek, even if he always looks for her. He don't love her. He simply care about Yagna. I thought because he have good sex with the Yagna, or at least each time they met, they simply have sex. So it's more physical love, let's say that. It's not a more passionate love and etc. Emotional and blah blah blah. It's just physical love. Also, he is more interested by having something, have terrain, which is not the main focus of Yagna. And he also have a really complicated relationship with his father because he hates him. He can understand why his father treats him like he is a filthy peasant and not his son. But at the same time, he loves him. We can clearly see that he loves his father when his father Mansig is wounded during the fight against the landowners. And in that scene, we see before Antek wanted to kill his own father, and then he is there to try to save his own father. So we have this contrast between hate and love, and it is beautiful. I love it. I love this type of conflict in a character. And also another thing that is interesting is that during the spring season, there is usually the season of new life, rebirth. We don't have that here. From now on, Yagana will live a different type of injustice. She will be raped a couple of times, dishonored by the family of Mansig, and the village finds any type of reasons to consider Yagana guilty and not adequate to be part of the village. So at the end, Yagana is completely alone, and under certain aspect, she wants that, but it's hard for her because she can trust anyone. She can she doesn't trust even her mom. Yeah, she went back to her, but she knows that her mom simply wants something back, like something, some terrain, something that is more sure than simply love. And even if she at the end is really humiliated by the peasant, at the end she is in peace. And I stop here because I don't want to ruin the end. I simply said that she is in peace at the end, but I didn't say how she has achieved that. And because I think that the end of this movie is really powerful, and if you are a sensitive person, maybe you, because it's a really violent scene. So if you are really sensitive, maybe be ready to that scene and maybe skip that, even if it's powerful and is really meaningful to the whole story. Maybe you can just read the book. But I can say that Yagna finally, and even if the how she became free is a bit hard, but finally she is free and she can live her life in peace, and also the village can finally return to the peaceful routine they had. Now, now, I wanted to talk about the performance of the actors, because even if it's an animation movie, we can clearly see the performances of the actors, and the performances were spectacular. Kamila Uzedowska, that was Yagna in this movie, was amazing. Her facial expression sometimes were more meaningful and stronger than words. As the director said about her, she was able to give to the viewer the sensitivity, the delicacy, and the fragility of Yagna. On the other hand, and Robert Guljazik was Antek in the movie, and he each time that he was in the scene, we could perceive his desire to be respected. The mother of Yagna, interpreted by Eva Kapsik, I don't know, you know that my pronunciation is always on point, was a strong woman, a woman that cares about her children and knows what is right for them and what is right in life. A line that says that she says in the movie, that is the only thing that lasts forever are acres is the terrain, which is really interesting because for me at least it made me understand how the mind of a peasant works. You don't know, you don't do anything in life for love, money, honor, but more to have terrain, because that is certainty. So you do something to just have terrain, to just have something for you, something that stays forever. And that is interesting because at least I think that this is an important concept for understanding the peasants and how at least the peasants in this movie really behave, why they behave in that type of way. This movie is based on a novel that is pretty new in the Polish literature, that is The Peasants, written by Władysław Raymond in 1909, and he also won the Nobel Prize thanks to this book. The director of the movie are J.K. and Hugh Welthman, They both work also in the movie Love in Vincent, so maybe you know them thanks to that movie. I didn't know them because I didn't watch them. I didn't watch it, but I'm going to watch it because I love this technique of animation that I have never seen before, and also because I really like how DK Welcome direct, and I mean she does some camera movement in the dancing scene that were incredible, that are incredible. So there is this point of view shot, this subjective camera over the shoulder of the actors during this dancing scene. So there is this camera here, and with this camera, with this point of view of shot, you can really feel this sense of dizziness, this sense of fear, of overwhelming, and I don't know, that scene for me, with all this dynamic camera movement, with this subjective scene, was as I said before, I felt dizzy after it. I felt like, wow, that is incredible. But at the same time, I felt dizzy. I felt the fear of Yagna through that scene. She really don't want to be there. She really don't want to dance in. She really don't want to fake being happy, and that is what, thanks to those movements, thanks to also the music in the background, because then we talk about the music, but thanks to that camera movement, you can really feel what Yagna is feeling. Also, another thing that I wanted to discuss about is the animation. Here I have some notes that I made because I watched a review about no, a review interview of the two directors. They talk about this animation, and for me it was like, wow, that is so interesting. So I want to share with you my little notes, because maybe you don't know how this movie is made. It was made, and you are interested about this movie, like how they made this oil painting animation, because this is a new type of animation, an animation that they invented, let's say like that, with Love in Vincent, the movie that was released in 2017. And in that movie, they developed this type of animation, this type of oil painting animation. But it's not just oil painting. They also have some other phases to develop the paintings, because before they start with a live action footage, so each character, each actor we see here, they really act in in a green screen camera, in a green screen chamber, where everything was just green screen. So they really have to imagine to each landscape, each environment, because everything was just green. And so they did this footage, this live footage with all the actors. So they had to just wear the costumes, and then like act in this green screen chamber room, and then the second phase is the phase of the visual effects. So there is the part of the matte painting where they add the landscape, even if the landscape were added after doing some painting animation, because also all the landscape, everything that we see is draw, is a painting, it's a work of art, because they told us that they did more than 40,000 frames of oil paintings. That is insane. That is insane. Each painting is a work of art, and thinks about how much this process lasts. In fact, they told us that if just a person, just a painter, did this type of movie, he will finish it after 100 years of just painting, and it is insane. It is insane. In fact, they say that each um, oil paintings took about more or less 5 hours, which is a lot. For this reason, the equipe of the artist was really big. They did there was, if I don't remember wrong, there were more or less 100 artists that work on this part of the animation, and these artists were from Serbia, from Lithuania, from Ukraine, from Poland, and the style that they use for these oil paintings is the style from the movement called Young Poland, and we see some references. They really took some paintings from that movement, and they redo it in here, and they wanted really share the Polish culture in this movie, which is really wonderful. At least for me, it was really wonderful to see more of the culture, because it's always interesting, at least for me, knowing more about the culture. And this movie is simply that it wants to tell us a story, a really dramatic story, a really difficult story, through the magic of oil paint animation, let's say like that. Because in this movie, it was like a painting that comes alive. They become alive. That I was like, wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. That is incredible. Because for years and years, some artists always try to create the movement in a paint and in a painting, and here they did it. They did it thanks to the animation, thanks to the technique of the animation, which is incredible for me, at least, that I'm really passionate about art, even if I don't know a lot, but I'm really passionate about art. I like art, and to see this type of impersonism, this type of style, or this type of paint with oil painting, which we can see clearly the texture, the sensitivity of a human. For me, it was mind-blowing. I never thought that something like this was possible, and it is possible. And yeah, it was really good. They also tell us that for doing this movie, it took like more or less 4 or 5 years from to do that, to finish it, which is a lot of time. Which is a lot of time. And for this reason, I think that we can really appreciate the works that is behind this that is behind this movie. And yeah, now I wanted to talk about a little bit of the music, because the music is inspired by the Polish folk music, with a little bit of twist, as the composer told in the interview. He wanted to take the Polish folk music and adapt it to what was going on in the movie. So for this reason, we have this type of we have a lot of strings, we have a lot of instruments, especially strings, and sometimes a little bit of trumpets, percussion, especially during the fight scenes, or during in those scenes where there is so much tension that you have to be a little bit careful what's going on. And especially there is the use of harpsichord and triangles, which for me was good. And this reminds, of course, about the folk music. This type of percussion, like the harpsichord, is, at least I know, that is often used in folk music, and also the violin here are powerful, especially during the dancing scene. We have these strong strings, these strong violins, that they give you everything that they got to to make you move, like you really want to dance with the characters. So music is good, animation is spectacular. This story is, my god, something. I mean, I have to read that book because, wow, even though I saw it and it's like big like that, how, it will take me a while to read it, but I think that we'll read it because the story is really good. So I suggest you to watch this movie as always. The question for today's episode is: do you like this animation technique? Do you like this oil painting animation? Let me know as always. I really do. That was pretty clear that I do like this type of animation. For me, it was a really discovery, and it's like a work of art coming alive. It's like seeing this work of art, this piece of art, this painting come alive, and it is incredible. And seeing the movie for the first time was just an experience. So I really hope that if you're going to watch this movie, you are going to appreciate it and yeah, fall in love with this animation technique as I did. This is everything that I have for you today. I hope you like this. If you want, you can leave me a star or a review or something, something, anything that you want. I really much appreciate it. I hope that you will have a good rest of the week. If you want, you can write me any suggestion or anything that you want at my podcast, at my Instagram page, that is podcast chochona underscore. And with that said, have a good rest of the week, have a good weekend, have a good day, and you already know that in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.